Hello! I have to talk loud because the engine is not muffled very well. Let's show you what's been going on. So the instrument cluster doesn't light up anymore, but as you can see, the headlights pop up. The motor runs if we give it a rev. It doesn't die out anymore. The windows work. Radio is all working. Appropriately 80s. I'm sure it shocks you, but the clutch is still giving us a little bit of issues. It doesn't want to fully bleed, but that's something we can work on. So that's great. We got a heat shield we're working on. As you can see, all the external lights working perfectly. So that's good. I got to figure out, the fan isn't turning on anymore, and I don't know why. So we got to get that sorted. We got to get the emergency brake fixed, because right now this thing has to be parked with chocks. Because, you know, race car and all that. So that's fun. So I don't know, looking at the coolant reservoir, it doesn't feel terribly hot. So I don't know if maybe a sensor got disconnected or what, but we got to check and make sure that everything's up to snuff inside the car. We're going to check the fluid level again tomorrow on the clutch, because I don't know if it's just leaking a little or what, but we're going to try and just bleed it out a little bit, I think, today, and then call it a day with that, and just see if any air bubbles come popping out of that. Also, we need to put the heat shield back on the driver or on the firewall, so, you know, we don't catch fire. Hopefully you can hear me. My voice is a little shot. We're just making sure that everything is buttoned down here. One of the things we're concerned about is I haven't seen the fan turn on in quite some time. So we're keeping an eye on the coolant here to see when it starts flowing. That means our thermostat's open, which means our fan should be flowing on. So we're waiting for this to start going, and then we're going to make sure the fan turns on. Our shift linkage broke once again on us, but it could be worse. At least the hydraulics seem to be all in working order, operating the way they should be with the clutch. The car works. Headlights work. You know, the important stuff. Woohoo! It sounds really good right now. I love the way it's sounding in here. I don't know if you can hear the... It sounds like... Headlights go up. Idle goes down. Headlights go down. Nothing. Headlights go up. Idle goes down. Meh. Headlights go up. That's the important part. We got no lights on the dash in terms of this anymore, which is a little sad, but whatever. We got the important stuff working. So there's that. I don't want to get hit with another strike on that. So let's see how the coolant's doing. So we still don't have any flow. We're just waiting for that to get warm. It's a little cold outside, so hopefully the thermostat will open up here in a little bit. Yeah, that might be a problem. That might be exhaust gas. So as we continue our attempt to button down everything, you can see we got the fan working. Turns out it was a loose wire right there at that grip. We also managed to, well, I thought we had the evac system hooked up, but it decided to fall apart again. All I have is keys and no good junction. I had to make a little adapter for that into the evac canister, but it works. Everything's routed where it should be, so that's good. Concern at the moment is the amount of smoke coming out whenever we rev this. It's hard to see on camera. I don't know if it's oil or whatnot, but what we gotta do, we gotta get the engine clock a little bit closer, so we got to make the final engine support, which is going to be the objective basically for hopefully the rest of this and maybe a next video, but we will see. quick detour. So with the car getting close to getting done, we want to have some gauges. And these are made in China, and it's that, in case you were interested. And what we also got was this, which fits between two of the cooling tubes we have, because we needed a spacer anyway. So this will actually help, and that's our little temperature gauge sensor. We got it in Celsius because, F it, why not? We also got oil pressure, and we got a voltmeter. So we're gonna put this stuff in, maybe this episode, maybe next one. I figure I'd give you a little taste of it. We also got some fuel injector cleaner, because, yeah, it was a few bucks. And a clutch pedal pad. Also staple gun. Not for anything automotive, I just need a staple gun. It's kind of neat that it goes like this. I'm not endorsed at all by these people. I have no idea how well this works, but do that. But then it's like trigger activated, so you can actually, it says it all right there. So that's neat. So maybe we see soon. It's always fun to open this stuff. And look, it fits. That's good. So I was running the air filter vent in there, and I couldn't use the stock box. I'll show you that in a second. So I took out this to kind of hook up to it. And when I noticed, because the air gets sucked in through the side here, I'm like, well, there's a piece of plastic in there. That's a little weird. The box, half the box, has just been blown out. So I don't know how the hell that happens, because it's up in there like that. So my only thinking is something must have come in and hit it, because I don't see how it breaks otherwise. We did manage to find a couple of loose nuts and bolts in there too, so that was kind of funny. But yeah, we're just like random fittings and odds and ends are in there. So now we can take the pipe there, run it out to here, get an adapter, and we're gonna have to find a filter that goes onto that in a little bit. But until then, this will do. As the Amazon van pulls away, let me show you a car part. You know it's good quality when it comes with that. So let me update you on what we've been up to, because it's been a few hours of working on the car that you haven't seen. So we got the intake plumbed out over there. There's no filter element on it right now. It just goes straight to there. We're gonna have to find a filter, something in line, but we'll tackle that when we get to it. That is the breather passive cam ventilation system up there. So you can see it comes all the way out to here. Those two should be tied together, but for right now, that's good enough. We haven't done anything to the engine mounts yet, because I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a battery tray too. I'm not 100%, but I gotta do some fab work down in here and figure out exactly what I wanna do with the battery tray, with the alternator, and a few other things. So, haven't been able to do that. Another thing we did, we managed to install, right here is our little coolant temp sensor for the gauges we got that I showed you a little earlier. So that went in here. It didn't quite, it was 38 millimeters, which wasn't quite right for the pipe here, because this is at 1.5 inch, and 38 millimeters should be 1.5 inch, but it's not. So if you got to do 1.5 inch, I recommend 36, because I had hit it with the grinder and grind it down a little bit. Hopefully that stays. That always makes me nervous. We haven't been able to start the car to pressure test it, because I came out here one day to roll up the windows because I felt like rolling up the windows. I left the car turned on, and we're still recovering from that. So this reads 12.74, which is good, but the battery tender doesn't think so. So, you know, it's a lot better than the 6-volt it was. It's still not quite good enough to start the car. So we're not going to do anything with that, but let me show you this. So this is a sandwich plate, an oil sandwich plate, oil filter sandwich plate. I'll show you what that's for. So while it would be fairly easy to tap off of this line here, this is our oil pressure sensor. I don't really want to mess with that. you just get a T, it comes off, and you can get the thing in. But the reason I don't want to mess with that is the pressure sensor we have here is fairly big. And because this is some Chinesium stuff, I mean, that's literally made in China. I'm sure this is too. I don't know the pipe threading on this, and I don't really want to risk introducing anything into the block up top that high. So what this does is this fits between, so this side goes up towards the block because that's got the oil ring gaskets on it. And this side on the bottom, you connect your oil filter. So we put a bit of Teflon tape on everything just to try and not have any leaks. We're hoping that one fits in the right spot. I'm a little concerned about how close that is to the block, but we can clock this in a few different directions. There's no real getting over how that's on there. It's going to have some sort of issue with it regardless. So I'm just hoping that's not going to be a fouling issue too much. But yeah, when we get this thing jacked up here in a minute, we're going to get it all hooked up. I think what we're going to do is we're going to call it a day on this video. Oh, also this one came with, if you're wondering how this works, these little adapters here go through, and then this is for the spin-on one. So we had to get the Chinesium one because we needed a 22, or not 22, we needed an 18. There it is, focus. We needed an 18 by 1.5. And this is the only one that came with a bunch of different sizes. So hopefully that's not too chowdered up in there. It better be. Hold on. Goes in like that. That bolts up against the where the oil filter normally goes. And that's a day. So we're going to cut that here. And then we'll get back to doing all this. And we'll get the gauges and everything set up and in the car the next episode. Fingers crossed. You know how things go around here. Hey, so we stayed up late one night just because shits and giggles, and we wired up the whole thing here on the back of the car. We'll put it inside the car eventually, but just like an easy way to tell if your oil gauge is wired up right. So this runs off of ground. Watch that. I'm gonna try and get this both in the shot. You take it off. And there you go. So it kind of maxes it out if it gets 12 volts straight through, and it gets no ground from there. So this basically is a potentiometer for ground, and it works like that. But you can see the voltage gauge works. Our temp gauge works. Well, we really don't know on that, but it is wired up right. And yes, that's in C because science. So this should all work. So we don't want to start the car up since the neighbors are asleep. And we want to get the oil pressure gauge plumbed in before we deal with that. But I think that's next episode. So until then, thanks so much for watching. All right, bye.